Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Knitting Pickle Podcast. Ooh, my name is Laura and it's been a while. I am back with a podcast after quite a while, though it's not been too long since I posted. If you're new here, I recently did a vlogging series called Vlogmas in July, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's like daily vlogging throughout the month of July in the Vlogmas style. And therefore I've not done like a pure knitting sit down video for quite a while now actually. And I'm really excited. This is actually my second attempt. I kind of decided randomly last minute yesterday to have just to go and film, and it was a Sunday, the kids were upstairs with my husband and felt a little bit rushed, and as soon as I finished recording I knew that it wasn't the one, so I just deleted it instantly. But I'm treating it as a dress rehearsal and I'm glad, because I realised those are things I'd forgotten and it was all rambly and jumbled, but I think I needed to get that out of my system. So I'm here with you today feeling very prepared. I have notes. Can you believe it? I don't quite know what I was thinking yesterday going in dry. But because I'm filming on my phone, I can't just quickly look things up, so I have written everything down and I'm really excited to catch up with you guys because I've got some really fun things to share. I don't have many, if any, finished objects because all of my finished objects over the past few weeks were in Vlogmas in July, and I don't want to go over them all again because some of you will have seen it before and it would be really boring for me. So if you are interested in seeing what I made in July, then go and check out Vlogmas in July if you would like. And everything else that I've got here has either been started since Vlogmas in July or was kind of started right at the very end. So there's been some decent progress. I've got lots to talk about and I have a special announcement which, if I'm honest, I am myself about. I'm so nervous about this, my goodness, but I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna do the special announcement straight away before we get into the knitting because I need you all to hear it and not everyone watches to the end. So I have been on YouTube for just over 2 years now. I've been on Instagram longer, however this year I lost my original Instagram for Penrose Knits, which was doing well. I'd gone over 20k. It was kind of the core of my business as Penrose Knits, and then I lost access to it. Still don't fully know why. I tried again the other day to get back into it and it's still not happening. I've started a new Instagram. You can find me at Bing on Instagram if you would like to join me over there. I'd be very grateful. But since that happened, I kind of become a little bit soured by social media, if I'm honest. Not so much YouTube, but it does have its problems, but Instagram particularly, I kind of finally saw what it was doing to me and the beast that it is. I've got a much better relationship with it now. I much prefer Instagram than when I used to. The way I use it has changed and it's much more supportive to my mental health. But here on YouTube, I recently got the attention of some bots. If you have a little look at episode 27 of the Knitting Pickle Podcast, it is at nearly 300,000 views, which is insane and not real. And you can tell it's not real because the number of shares and likes and comments are around the same as all my other videos, which can range. The podcasts usually they're usually between 20 and 30k. However, that has boosted up recently and I'm not sure if it's because of bots, but they're normally a lot lower than 300k, which is crazy. And it's really frustrated me because it's not real. I feel like I'm giving a false impression if new people see that video and how many views it's got. It's completely messed my statistics. If I was a content creator that did brand deals, quite often they ask you for your demographics. And if I was to look at my demographics right now, it's like 90% male, which isn't true, because normally on my videos I have less than 1% of males watching my videos. And what it says my viewers also watch is completely out of whack, and that would basically have had a negative effect on my business if that's what I did. I don't do brand deals because it's just not something that I'm really into. I do yarn collaborations for my design work, but that's a different thing for me. I'm not really a, you know, this video is sponsored by kind of person. It just makes me feel awkward. It just made me kind of feel a bit like, well, what's the point in trying so hard to win the favour of these algorithms if that kind of thing can happen? So I have decided to take the plunge, finally, and I have started a Patreon. I've been asked a number of times if I'm ever going to do one, and I've always just been like, oh, no. And the thing I was most uncomfortable with was directly asking people to pay for my content. And that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and definitely struggle to talk about. It's a bit of a taboo still, but me particularly, personally, I have always struggled with knowing my worth and standing up for my worth as well. And this is something I'm working on in therapy, working on it quite hard, seeing the value in myself and what I do and what I create. And I think that by going behind the paywall on Patreon, I'm going to be able to create a safer environment where I can create the content that I want and connect with people, like actual people who actually watch my videos, rather than feeling like I'm trying to appease this false number that's out there. Like, it's ridiculous. And it just felt like the right time. So I'm going to talk briefly about what my Patreon will include. However, I'm not going to go on it for too long. You can skip through it if you're not interested. And you can always go and have a little look at my Patreon if you just want to have a quick look at what you can get. There are 2 tiers. The first tier is the cozy tier, and that is £2 or $2 a month. And for that, you get exclusive content on Patreon, so posts and anything I might want to share directly with you guys. Like, I've recently been into making like tracking sheets, and I'd love to be able to share those if anyone wants to use them, and little things like that. You will also get a discount code on all my patterns in my Ravelry shop upon becoming a Patreon. It's a one-off discount code for 10% off all the patterns. So you could buy every single pattern, or you could buy one pattern, but you get 10% off. So even if you were thinking about buying one of my patterns or a few of them, it's worth signing up to the Patreon, even if it's for 1 month, because you get that discount code. The second tier and the higher tier is maximum cozy, and that is £4 or $4 a month. And for that, you get the same content as cozy. You get a higher discount code. You get 20% off, a one-off discount code for all my patterns, but you get exclusive videos. And this is like the kind of main point of it. I absolutely loved Vlogmas in July. I really love doing it, and it's the kind of content that I love creating the most. However, I am getting increasingly uncomfortable with sharing so much of my life so overtly on the internet, and especially with the kids as well. And I just feel like by putting it behind the paywall, I'm going to be more comfortable sharing it. And also, this is the awkward bit, I don't really get paid enough to make those videos. It takes, the vlogs particularly take so much time. Now, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy doing it, but that doesn't mean I should be giving it away for practically free. I do obviously get AdSense, but it doesn't really reflect the amount of time and effort that goes into it. You know, on YouTube, unless you are, you know, getting the brand deals and have tens of thousands of subscribers, then financially wise, business wise, it's not actually that viable. It's great if you just want a bit of hobby money, but I am getting to a point in my life very, very soon, in like 3 weeks, where both my children are in school and I'm going to have more time on my hands, and I want to use that time to grow my business. And I think this is the first kind of big step in making that truly real. Obviously, I'm still going to be designing. I also feel like having the Patreon side of things kind of takes the pressure off that a little bit. I'm still working on my relationship with designing and working and all this kind of stuff. Again, thank you, therapy. But I have taken a lot of inspiration from creators like Sandy from By the Lakeside, Marina Skewer of Marina Skewer, and Emma from the Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company. These creators, these wonderful women, all have their thing, their business, that thing that they do that is their calling, their thing, whether it's dyeing yarn, making yarn, writing patterns, making bags. They've all got their core thing that is what they love. And like for me, that's designing. And their content creation is just something that moves alongside that. That's like an additional thing that they enjoy doing, but is not like the be all and end all of their business. And I love their content because you can see that they're in a good place. I mean, you never really know, I'm just assuming here, but the impression that I get is just it's part of their business that they really enjoy doing, but it's not the core. And that's what I am kind of hoping Patreon will do for me. It's going to take away the pressure of, you know, constantly competing against myself, and hopefully just being a better environment for me to share my content. So there we go. I said I wouldn't ramble on, but it's been 13 minutes. So there we go. I started a Patreon. I would be so honoured if you went and joined me over there. I am always going to be super open to your suggestions over on Patreon. So if there are certain types of videos that you want to see as a paying customer, your suggestions and your desires will be like top of my list. And I'm really, really excited about it. Okay, awkward thing over. Let's get into the knitting content. Oh, based on that, just also wanted to say the Knitting Pickle Podcast and Vlogmas will always be on YouTube. It'll always be here for you to watch, either for free and watch ads, or via YouTube Premium if you don't want to watch ads. And yeah, it will always be here. The podcast will always be on this channel for anyone to see, as will Vlogmas and Vlogmas in July if I do it again. And I will do other videos on here, like occasionally, like extra knitting content, maybe the occasional vlog over here on YouTube, but it's mainly going to be on Patreon now. So exciting! Okay, so calm down. The awkward bit's done. What am I wearing? I am wearing today it's my husband's Big Love cardigan. And this was the main reason that I did Vlogmas in July. If you join me for Vlogmas 2022, you will see that I had an absolutely horrific time with this project. Not because of the pattern. The pattern is wonderful. It's extremely cleverly written. The fit, the details, the short rows, amazing. I just chose the wrong size and wouldn't accept the fact that I chose the wrong size, and ended up having to rip back loads and loads and loads. I ruined my Christmas knitting time through the pressure of feeling like I had to do this, and yeah, I learned a lot of lessons. But ultimately I didn't finish it on time, and then didn't pick it up again for 6 months afterwards. And in Vlogmas in July, my main focus was to finish this project, a few other Christmas projects, and to start some new Christmas projects. So as you can see, as I'm wearing it, I did finish it. I will do some cutaways for you because it's impossible to show you the whole thing, but I finished it, and I'm wearing it today just because it's cozy and it's windy and grey outside, which I'm so pleased about, even though it's July. Yes, I'm one of those people. I'm manifesting autumn. But it fits my husband beautifully. The only problem is the sleeves came out very, very long, and he's ended up folding the cuffs back. But I feel like it works because of the folded shawl collar. the folded cuff works. And I mean, I could always like rip them out, but let's be honest, that's not actually going to happen. So as I mentioned, I did the wrong size initially because the original pattern has quite a lot of positive ease. I didn't think my husband would want that much positive ease. So I went down a few sizes, not taking into account that the yoke depth and armhole circumference would be going down as well. It was absolute rookie error. I don't know why I did it, because I've designed sweaters and cardigans of this shape myself. I should have known better. But I ended up having to extend the yoke and therefore the sleeve circumference in order to get the fit I wanted for him. I also made the body a lot longer, and I added some short rows in the sleeves here, which is probably now why my sleeves are actually too long. But I'm glad I did, because for him, shape-wise, the sleeves and the shoulders fit really beautiful. He's very, very broad. He's like a triangle, broad shoulders, little itty bitty waist. So I'm really glad with the final fit on him. And actually finishing it with him meant that I could constantly be checking the length. He tried it on loads of times. So many times I was like, it's done, it's done. No, one more inch, no, one more inch, no, one more inch. But we got there, and I actually really enjoyed working on it in the end and finishing it. I set myself a target of having it done by the end of the month, and I finished it in just over a week. And a lot of that was to do with tracking. I made myself a little picture of it and coloured it in as I went, and that really helped. And it really proved to me that waiting until I was ready to work on it was the right idea. And there's going to be more on that in another project in a minute. So there you go, the Big Love cardigan is finished. The pattern is by Ankestrick, and I used Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the colourway Cinnamon Melange, and it's one of my favourite wools, and you're going to be seeing more of it in a minute because it's the best. But with that, I am a little bit warm, and we've got some trying on to do in a minute, so I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to get a kombucha. Hang on. Opening of can ASMR for you there. Oh, it tastes like tea. It tastes like tea. Yummy. Right then, so that's my only finished object. So we're going into the world of whips, but whips are always my favourite section of a podcast anyway, because it's like just exciting, isn't it? So I'm going to start with my Sibling sweater, because I cannot quite remember if I've shown my sample in a podcast or not. I think I have, but it's been a while and I've got quite the update on this design. So if you are aware of my work, I released the Sibling sweater in March or April. Yeah, something like that this year. And it's a kids design. It's a stripy drop shoulder sweater with a really fun and interesting shoulder shaping detail in the back. I will pop a picture in for you, of course. But after releasing the kids version, of course, I then started the adult version. Now, at the beginning of this year, I made a video in which I spoke about the fact that I'll be knitting less this year and focusing more on my physical and mental health. Well, I tried. I really tried. But with the Sibling sweater, I very much caved into that pressure that I was trying to avoid this year. And the pressure comes from myself. But whenever I see a comment saying, whenever I saw a comment on the Sibling sweater saying, oh, I want one in my size, I want one in my size, I took that as I have to make one in an adult size or I'm going to be letting those people down. That is not because of the people who comment. I don't want to discourage people from writing lovely, encouraging comments and saying that they want to see more from me. That's not the problem. It's me. Trust me. It's not you. It's me. And I'm working on it. But I definitely gave into the pressure. And I was like, I have to get this done. I have to get this out as soon as possible. I have to get it out before summer. And the pressure just built and built and built and built. And I was working on a white and camel sample. And because I was pretty much rushing it, it went really wrong and I had to rip the whole thing out again, and my joy for the project just went. However, I kept pushing through. I got through the edits, and then I realised that I cannot knit another stripe. I don't want to. I was sick of it. So I sent the edited pattern to my sample knitter. And I sent her some yarn. I was like, I can't do it. Can you do it for me, please? which she did, and she did a beautiful job. And so I'm just going to pop it on. This is my first sample of the Sibling sweater, My Size, which is its official name. And this sample was made in Sandnes Garn Merino, which is super wash yarn. And both me and my sample knitter were both pleasantly surprised by this yarn. It didn't grow. It's not done that kind of pinstripey thing that some super wash merinos can do. And it's a lovely, lovely yarn. It's definitely not like a silky smooth merino, but it's also not like a itchy merino either, though merino isn't ever that itchy. And the main reason I chose this yarn at the time was because of the colour. As I said before, I was trying to get this ready for the very end of spring this year, so I chose some springy colours. I chose lilac and cream. This is the colour, I think it's just white, and this is dusty lilac in the Sandnes Garn Merino. And I will show you the fun little shoulder detail in the back there. You can see this is what makes it different from every other stripy sweater that's out there. And this version also has a split hem. Sorry, my belly's really creaky. So you can see here, beautiful split hem. And this version is slightly cropped. It wasn't meant to be slightly cropped, but my body lengths in the pattern were just a little bit out, which I've now adjusted. So the actual pattern is meant to be more of a kind of regular length. I don't want to say full length because it's different for everyone, but more of like a regular length. It's not intended to be cropped, but obviously you can crop it if you want to. So moving forward with this design now, it's going to be an autumn release, a kind of October, November kind of time release, for which I don't feel like this is the right vibe. It's the wrong colours for an autumn winter release. So I have started a new sample. Also, I asked my sample knitter to make a size 3, and I think I should have asked for a size 4. Even though this fits me beautifully, it looks lovely on me. It's more of a like kind of sweatshirt vibe, and the original Sibling sweater, the kids one, is much more oversized in its look, and I love that, and I wanted it to be a little bit more oversized, but I asked for the wrong size. And I think we expected it to grow a little bit more because it was superwash, and because it didn't grow, it's definitely not 100% the fit that I want the pictures of this pattern to represent. Obviously, the amount of ease you have is completely up to the knitter. This is around 4 inches of positive ease for me, but I wanted much, much more than that, and that's what I am about to show you. So I'm going to take this one off, and here is my new and improved Sibling sweater, My Size. Oh yeah, it's navy, baby. Oh, she's so Parisian. What's the French word for sibling? Is it like frère, or is that brother? I don't know, it's something like that, isn't it? But anyway, yes, this is my current version, and you can see the shoulder detail at the back. When you add the sleeve in, it like really, really makes it. And I added the collar to this the other day. This is the Sandnes Garn Double Sunday. It's not the Merino, it's a Double Sunday. And to me, they are like basically exactly the same yarn, but one is superwash, one is not superwash. And the colourways are Whipped Cream and Sailor in the Dark. And it was the Sailor in the Dark that I really wanted. I'm just gonna like tilt you a teeny weeny bit just so we can get the idea. So this sample has approximately pre-blocking 11 inches of positive ease. You can see it is much, much bigger, and that is what I was going for. I'm so pleased with this. This part of the sample just like flew off the needles. As soon as the yarn arrived, I was like, here we go. I'm ready to get back into the world of the Sibling. And I did the entire back piece and the front right section in 8 hours straight, only stopping to put the kids to bed. My hands were sore that day. Don't do that. Don't do it. I didn't knit the next day. I gave myself a break. But yeah, you can see how it's going to be much bigger on the body, and I'm just, yeah, love it. I feel like these colours are a lot more kind of colder season colours, like autumn, winter. They could still be lovely in the spring, but I think for an autumn release, this is definitely much more kind of what I was going for. And I think it's really good to, I can give an example of 2 different types of fit as well, because not everyone is going to want this amount of positive ease. Let's just pop you back up again. Not everyone is going to want this amount of positive ease, so I'm glad that I'll be able to include pictures and show you the less ease and the more ease, so you can make a decision. There'll also be guidance in how to choose the right size for you based on how much ease you want. There's advice on if you're making it for a male body or a female body, because there's no kind of like waist shaping or anything like that. The only main difference between grading for a woman and a man is things like yoke depths and bicep circumference. So there's the pattern that's got all the advice you need on how to choose the right size for the look that you want. Speaking of the pattern, when I started my sample, I was like, right, that's it, I'm ready to go, let's start the test knit. So I contacted my current pool of testers, and I filled, I think, just over 50% of the slot, and it's mainly sizes 2 to 4 and then a few of the higher sizes. But I do have quite a few gaps, so I will be doing a public test call for this from the day of filming in the next few days, hopefully this week, because I want to get the tester going. I also need to contact my tester pools to let them know they've all been successful and have been chosen. But yeah, I will be opening this up to the public, which will be the first time I've done that for a very, very long time. One of the things I was struggling most with designing was the test knitting process. I found it really, really stressful. It induced a lot of anxiety, especially choosing testers, which is why I then created from the tester I'd already worked with my own little pool, and have done a few test knits just privately with those people. And it's brilliant because I've got some incredible testers. They're all lovely people who I really enjoy working with, who've got my best interests at heart, that don't hold anything back. You know, they're not afraid to tell me if they think something isn't right. They're brilliant. However, people can get used to a writing style. So it is also important that I bring new people into the testing pool regularly. So I'm nervous about it, but I am gonna do it. So yeah, that test call will be on my Instagram. I don't know which will come first, posting this video or the test call. So it's worth having a little look. It's mainly going to be sizes 5, 6, 7, 10 and 1. So size 1 is great for teenagers or petite people, and then the kind of other sizes I would say, so this is a size 4 and it's 46 inches. So if you're above 46 inches, then go and please apply for the test call, because I'd love to work with you. So that's where we're at with the sibling, and that's where we're at with my designing at the moment, really. I'm not working, well, I am working on something else, but it's a secret, so I'm not going to tell you, but you will find out very, 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 very soon. But as far as my other garment designs that you might have seen before I took a little break, nothing else is in the works just yet. I've got my Midland cardigan, which will be happening. I'm just not overloading myself. And I also have my John Arbon design I made and finished. Yeah, I shared the John Arbon design in my John Arbon video. It's another sweater design with a cabled lattice pattern in the most stunning yarns. If you want to check that out, please do. Those 2 are the ones that are coming up next. But I have so many ideas for accessories this year. I didn't do any accessories last year. And honestly, I've got shawls, I've got collars, I've got just like so many things that I want to do, like these small little accessory things. So you can expect some of those from me very, very soon, hopefully. Okay, let's move on to something else. Shall we stay with sweaters or shall we mix it up a little bit? Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's do a sock. I cast this on yesterday because yesterday I went to see Oppenheimer, and I needed some knitting, and I'm glad I took my knitting because my god, that movie was long. It was great. I enjoyed watching it, but I definitely think it could have been at least half an hour shorter, if not more. Definitely felt it was dragging at the end a little bit. But it was brilliant. It was so fascinating. We went to see it at the Everyman Cinema, which is amazing because it has sofas and it has wine, and I won't go to the cinema for anything less. I also wear my noise cancelling headphones in the cinema now, which for me is absolute game changer. I mentioned this on Instagram and a few people asked me, does that mean you can't hear what they're saying? Not at all. I use Apple AirPods, and they don't, it's not like you've got silence when you put them in. It just brings everything down a little bit. I can still hear exactly everything they're saying everything that's in the audio is just at a volume that I can tolerate, and that, along with knitting, means I actually enjoy the cinema now, and I used to hate it. And it's a shame because my husband loves it, and obviously I want to spend time with my husband and do things that he enjoys, but not at the detriment to my own mental health. So now I can enjoy that thing with him again, and I'm so excited about it. But anyway, less about that, more about the sock. Here we are. Ah! So this is a vanilla sock tube, and I'm actually ready for the toe, and I cast this on yesterday afternoon. That's how long Oppenheimer is. Not completely. To be fair, I did the cuff and maybe a couple of rows on the leg before I went to the cinema just to get it going, and then I did 78 rows during Oppenheimer, and I didn't knit throughout the whole thing. I did put it down occasionally, but mainly, yeah, most of this was done during Oppenheimer, which was all of the leg and a little bit of foot, and then I finished the foot last night watching maths because I needed something to kind of like bring me back down again after all the nuclear war. And yeah, it's ready to go. I just need to add the toe. Oh, that was a little poem for you. This yarn, and again, I'll do cutaways for you because filming on my phone, in order for me to like show you it, I basically have to cover my face and sit there in silence. So I'll do some lovely cutaways for you because this yarn is really lovely. This is by Skein Queen. Pretty sure it's Skein Queen. I say Skein, but I think they say Skein Queen, so that's what I'm going to say. And it's a sock yarn. I got it from the Summer Wool Festival a few weeks ago, which you can go and see. I made a whole video about it as part of Vlogmas in July if you want to see what it was like and what I bought. But I bought this for a very specific reason. It's my sister's birthday at the end of August, and for the past 3 years I've made her a garment, and this year I'm not doing it. She's got plenty of knitted garments now, and I just didn't really have like the time and headspace for it because I'm working on a different gift garment that's kind of taking forefront. I also took quite a lot of inspiration from my sister actually, because she has been making the world's most stunning blankets for everyone in the family. She made one for my grandma, one for my mum, and she made one for me last year, and this year she says, I'm not doing it this year, I'm not making anyone else a blanket, I can't do it. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely not making you a garment then because I can't do it again. But I do want to give her something hand knitted, and she is due a pair of nice fingering weight vanilla beautiful socks. I've made her a pair of lacy socks, but I used a cotton yarn. That's how long ago and how little I knew at the time. And I made her a pair of Sunday socks for Christmas, but they're obviously much chunkier. They're more like slipper socks. And my kind of sock knitting mojo has been really strong recently, and I've learned a lot more about the fit and the type of socks that work for me. My sister's feet are one size bigger than mine, so based on what I like to wear on my feet, I've done that but just a teensy bit bigger, like the foot a little bit longer. And I've actually done the same stitch count around the foot, so they're nice and stretchy, but the main thing is the length and the heel, because she has slightly wider actual feet, so I'm going to put a little bit more length in the heel just to, you know, make space. But the reason I chose this yarn is because it is called CMYK. So that CMYK, if you don't know, is like the name of the colours used in printing. If you look at any kind of packaging, you'll see 4 little dots somewhere on that packaging. You'll see a bright blue one, a bright pink one, a bright yellow one, and a black one. And that is CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and K is black. And that's what this sock yarn is based on. You can see it's kind of like grey and white. It's almost like print. And then it's got tiny little micro speckles of the CMY colours. And my sister is a graphic designer, which is why this is significant. Also, her wedding colours were CMYK. Well, they were CMY. It was like she handmade with a hole punch, like CMY coloured table confetti, and it looked amazing. It's like everything was white and then these just bright pops of colour. It was so good. I think I've got a picture of it somewhere as well. I'll see if I can dig it out. But I saw it and I was like, this is exactly what it needs to be. And I thought I would bring in just a little bit more colour on just on the edge of the cuff. This is Fluoro Pink sock yarn by Folkestone Harbour Yarns, and I just did the cast on and 1 round of rib in this colour, and then I changed to my main colour and did a row of knit and then continued in the rib. And I'm going to do the heel in the bright pink as well, but the toe in this main thing, because I want to use like as much of this as I can in this pair of socks and give as much of an opportunity as I can for the yarn to really sing. So I'm really, really pleased with these, and I'm excited to get them done. And it's good to know now that I can, you know, knock out a pair of socks, you know, reasonably fast. I've probably spent maybe 6 to 8 hours on this. So, and I'm in knitting time, that's not that long. So yeah, I'm very excited to give these to my sister because she definitely is in need of a nice, lovely pair of socks. And she's just going to love that. I've got the label for the yarn and I'm going to put it around the socks when I give it to her so that she can see. Hopefully she'll see the inspiration without knowing what the yarn is called, but I don't know. I'm excited. That's the kind of gift knitting I love. I love what I'm using. I love the project I'm making. I'm excited to give it to the person. It doesn't feel like a chore. And yeah, that's a good sign when it comes to gift knitting, I think. So speaking of gift knitting, let's move on to the next one. And this one featured reasonably heavily in Vlogmas in July. And if I'm honest, I've not picked it up for a while because the Sibling kind of took over my garment knitting at the moment. But this is going to be coming, I think once the Sibling sweater test knit has started, this one's going to take precedent because I do have a deadline for this. I am making a Moby sweater, man. For my man. Yes, even after the trials and tribulations of the Big Love cardigan, he's getting another thing. However, this is not for Christmas. This is for our anniversary, which is in October, and it's our 7-year wedding anniversary, and the traditional the traditional gift is wool. So of course, had to. I'm also really hoping that he, you know, fully gets on board with that traditional gift this year. You know what I'm saying? My knitting buddies, you may get a message from him saying, what do I do? I hope so anyway. But my husband has always wanted a cream white coloured fully cabled sweater. And I've always said no because my goodness, so much work. However, I thought this was such a special occasion that I was going to do it for him. And that's also why I cast it on in July to give myself plenty of time. Originally, I was going to design him a sweater, but I just couldn't handle that at this point. So I, you know, did myself a favour and was like, no, I'm just going to do a Moby sweater. I was looking for a pattern without the trellis section here because I did this kind of trellising in the Ingrid sweater by PetiteKnit last year and hated it, but that's because I was doing it wrong. And actually in this situation, I have really, really enjoyed doing it. And once I join in the round as well, all of this is like knit every other row. And I think what's great about this sweater is it gives the impression of an overall traditional cabled sweater without it actually being all over cabled. Like, this is the only cabling you do. The trellising is faux cables. It's basically done with increasing in a funny way. And it's ingenious, it's brilliant. And these kind of like broken rib columns that give the kind of, they stick out, and there's the relief and the double moss. It's perfect. And I have really, really enjoyed working on it so far. I've not actually got that far to go until I join at the underarm. And I think once I've joined the body in the round, it's just going to absolutely fly off the needles. And I reckon I'm going to get to borrow this as well, you know. It might be a bit long in the body for me and a bit long in the sleeves, but oversized fisherman's gansey, stunning. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for this, but I'm not going to dwell on that one for too long because yes, I go into much more detail in Vlogmas in July. I even believe one of the episodes, this is the thumbnail. So if you want to know a little bit more, please go and check it out. So I have got 2 more whips to show you and a special little extra project that isn't knitting. So I'm going to go with my funny one to start with because the final whip kind of leads into the special project. So earlier on this year, I made my sweet daughter Penelope a Monday sweater by PetiteKnit using this absolutely stunning yarn, which is, it was a 4-ply random skein that I got from a hand dyer who was closing down, and the rainbow sprinkle, which is Cheshire hand dyed popsicle on the Surrey alpaca base. And oh, she's stunning, isn't she? She's so beautiful. It's one of my daughter's favourite sweaters. She loves wearing it. She loves the feel of it. She calls it her rainbow sprinkle sweater. And I've got quite a lot of the yarn left over because the lovely lady at Cheshire Hand Dyed sent me an extra skein of it as a gift to say thank you for sharing it, because I shared it with you guys on my old Instagram and you all went crazy and bought loads of it. So thank you for doing that because I got some extra yarn and we've supported a small business. Yay! And with that leftover rainbow sprinkle yarn, I have been wanting to make a very specific item for Penny for quite a long time. And the other night I sat down to do some knitting, but I wasn't feeling inspired by any of my projects. And this thing popped into my mind and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Now, I don't think this is going to be what you expect. And it's a little bit freaky to look at right now. It hasn't even got eyes yet or a horn, but you can see where I'm going with it, right? I'm making like a really neutral white unicorn with this beautiful fluffy rainbow mane, and the tail will be this colour as well. Now this pattern is the, look, I'm checking my notes, is the Horse in a Dress pattern by Julie Williams. And so the actual pattern itself is for a horse, but you get modifications within it for a unicorn and for a donkey. So well worth the investment, I think. And it's a beautiful pattern. I made this whole head in an evening and I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm not the best with 3D knitting, but I think it looks really good. I feel like my ears could be like a bit more like that maybe, but I followed the instructions perfectly, but I don't know. They're a little bit like out rather than like proud. In the picture they're a little bit more sticky uppy, but we'll see. I haven't put the eyes on yet because I'm a bit scared to, because it involves an anchored French knot, and last time I tried to do that I couldn't do it and got really frustrated. So I'll either do anchored French knots or I'll just do like a little embroidery, but it's the eyes that really make it, and I'm scared it's going to make it look freaky, but we'll see. I think I did a good job with stuffing. I think the head looks like the right shape. He's got like little jowls, he's got little cheeks, and yeah, I'm excited. And it's almost like a humanoid body. It's like a body with arms and legs rather than like an actual like horse shape. And in the pattern you get two different dress designs. One of them is a colourwork dress, one of them is a lace dress. I think I'm probably just going to do a plain dress, and I might use this yarn for it or just make her a jumper. I'm not too sure. I think it might be a bit much, like with the rainbow hair and the tail and the jumper and stuff. But I can just imagine my little Pimmel Puff wearing her jumper, holding her unicorn, and it just being the cutest thing in the whole entire world. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think I'm going to keep this for Christmas, because I would like to give them both a hand knitted Christmas gift. Toyed with the idea of doing a garment, but I think realistically that's not going to happen. I'd rather just work on the garments as and when I want to and enjoy it, rather than giving myself a deadline. But I think little animal guys is a lot more doable, and I'd like to make something for my son. I'm just not sure what to make him yet. I did see a pattern for a knitted balloon dog recently, which I thought was awesome, so it might be that. He has also said he would like a snake, but I think he's envisioning quite a big snake, which I did say I would do for him, but I don't think I want to do as a surprise for Christmas. I think I'd rather have him as part of that project and using up all my scrap yarns and all that kind of stuff. And I think I might also crochet it, get my sister to help me with that. So I don't know what I'm going to make for him, but it'll be some kind of little small thing. So that's my funny little freaky project. And then my final whip that I'm going to show you is one that I'm so excited about. I have shared it on Instagram and right at the end of Vlogmas in July, but I've made quite a lot of progress since I last showed it on YouTube. And this is an extremely special project because it features my first ever hand spun. When I was at the Summer Wool Festival, I bought myself a drop spindle. It was something I'd wanted to do for so long, but I kept telling myself I can't do it because I'll become obsessed with it and then I'll use up all my knitting time on spinning. And I was telling myself that that was a bad thing. Almost like if I started spinning, I'd be cheating on knitting, or I'd be wasting the time I could be spending on designing on doing something else. How ridiculous is that? Like, why do we tell ourselves that? Honestly, when I have shared my spinning so far, so many comments saying, oh, I'd love to give spinning a go, oh, but I won't because I know once I start I won't be able to stop. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Honestly, yeah, when I first started spinning, it fully took over my brain for a few days, but things are kind of like leveled out a little bit more now. I'm going to go more into like how I feel about my spinning and stuff after this project. But for now, let's show you what it was. So the first fibre that I bought, where's my thing? Here is my spindle that I bought from a lovely lady whose business is called Tyne and Flloyd, and she was at the Summer Wool Festival. She gave me a demonstration. She had let me have a little go. She was so wonderful and so fascinating to talk to. So I bought a spindle from her, which is this one. I can't remember what it's made from now, what the wood is, but it's about 54 grams, and this is a Turkish drop spindle. So if you have no idea what this is, it comes apart, which is awesome because it's a lot more travel friendly and storage friendly, but it also means that you spin a little centre pull ball on the bottom of it, which you'll see in a minute. And this was a recommendation from Marina Skewer, so thank you, Marina, because I'm freaking loving it. And I just would have got like a normal drop spindle and I'm sure it would have been fine, but I think this is definitely the right choice for me. So this is the spindle I used, and the fibre was just called Neon, and it was 100% merino, which I have since learned is difficult to spin with. So I definitely went in hard. Like, that tends to be what I do with these kind of things. It's like just jump in at the deep end and go for it and see what happens and learn all my mistakes. But I chose this yarn because I knew it was going to be for my first I knew it was going to be for my first spin. It was not about the yarn I got. It was just about having a go, learning how to do it, having practice, building muscle memory. And I thought, well, if I'm doing that, then I'm going to give myself something fun and bright and crazy to spin, because that's going to keep me super interested. And it worked really well. These are my first two skeins of handspun yarn, and you can see it's like crazy neon. It's called Neon, and it was from the Threshing barn, who were at the Summer Wool show. And oh my goodness, how fun is it? I'm obsessed. My first skein was super chunky, my second skein was chunky, and my third and fourth skeins were Aran weight, just about Aran weight. And they were still very thick and thin and lumpy bumpy, but I was so thrilled with what my hands had created that I just could not stop myself using it. And I thought, well, what can we make that's going to really work well with this kind of uneven lumpy bumpiness of this yarn? Colourwork sweater. Way! I only had 40 grams, so I was like, I'm going to make a child's sweater. And here it is. Oh my God, it comes up on camera so well, honestly. Or maybe this is the way to show knitwear when using my phone. Just put it against my body like that. So this was originally going to be for my son, young Jeffrey, but it turns out he's had a bit of a growth spurt. So this is now for my sweet Penelope. It's big for her, but that's good because she can wear it for a few years. And my son can fit it. It's just very like slim on his body, and it wasn't the fit I was going for. I love the kids in oversized sweaters, especially Jeff. He just looks like such a dude in a big oversized chunky jumper. So yeah, this is going to be for Penny, and I used the Strange Brew by Tin Can Knits. It's a recipe, it is a pattern, but it's a recipe because it gives you the instructions to make a circular yoke sweater for fingering weight, DK weight and Aran weight. You can choose from top down or bottom up. It includes short rows. It's fantastic, and the whole point of this recipe is that you insert your own colour work into the yoke. It also shows you how to do a wedge increase as well as a circular increase. So this is a circular one, so all the increases happen like in between each motif. But with a wedge one, you kind of start here and it increases out like that. So if you see all those like beautiful like floral designs like by Jennifer Steingass and all that kind of thing that kind of radiate out, that's a wedge shaping, and you have that in the Strange Brew as well. And I used that for my new to done Christmas jumper that I made last year in Vlogmas 2022, if you want to check it out. So I just chose motifs from within the pattern. There's a little motif library at the very bottom of the pattern, and I tried to choose things that were really graphic and simple. So we've got little crosses, little chevrons. These kind of snowflakey rosy guys in the middle were a little bit, I probably could have chosen something more graphic there, as you do kind of lose some of the detail in the middle because of the crazy variegated thick and thin yarn, and then little diamonds at the bottom. But overall, I think you get the effect I was going for, and I'm obsessed with it. This bright neon coloured yarn against the dark background, I'm like, who am I? I would not have made this so long ago, and I would not have been obsessed with it. I did look at the yarn against white, but I was thinking about Penny's wardrobe in particular. I was like, she's got a lot of white and rainbow garments that I've made for her, for her, like this one. She's got another rainbow, she's got a rainbow marble sweater, she's got a stripy rainbow thing. I just thought, let's bring something to her wardrobe, and it's just, I don't think I could have made a better decision. I'm using every single last scrap of my hand dyed, and I put a little bit on the cuff here. So I've just got one other sleeve to go, and I put this down because it got quite warm, and then I got distracted by my sibling sweater. But I'm in no rush to finish this right now because it's too warm for Penny to wear as it is. It's like double thickness here, and it's Aran weight anyway. The grey yarn I'm using is Bergere de France Doucelaine in the shade Melissa, which I got from a D-Stash ages ago, and is 80% wool, 20% polyamide. And it's a lovely Aran weight yarn. It really is really nice. I really like Bergere de France. If you're looking for like a wool blend or an acrylic blend or anything like that, the Bergere de France yarns are lovely. It's the first yarn I ever used. When I first kind of was having a go at knitting, I asked my husband to pick me up some knitting needles and some yarn from our local sewing shop, and he was just like, what do I get? Just anything at all. And the like kind of ladies in the shop directed him, and that first yarn was Bergere de France, which I think I was quite lucky, because most people's first yarns are like Bonus, DK, Hayfield, all that kind of thing, which is fine, and I've used that a lot when I was starting. But to experience the lovely French yarn, I think I was really quite lucky. So yeah, highly recommend. So that's my first ever handspun project, and I'm incredibly proud of it. Can you tell? So, on to my final project, and that is my current spinning project. So after I had done this one, I do have some other fibre that I also got from the Summer Wool Festival, but I have always greatly admired the fibre tops from John Arbon. John Arbon is so dear and special to me for many reasons, which I've gone on about a number of times before. But I've always like looked at their yarn tops and been like, oh, it just looks so stunning and beautiful. So as soon as I knew that I'd caught the spinning bug, I went onto the John Arbon website and I bought myself some tops. I purchased the Yarnadelic 100% Corriedale tops, and this is the colour Galetta Guitar. And Yarnadelic, all the names are like music based. You can get it in the tops, but you can also get it in a 4-ply yarn and in a worsted weight yarn, which I have sampled as well, and it's beautiful. So if you're a big fan of this like colourway but don't spin, you can get this as a yarn, which is amazing. Most of the John Arbon yarns, they also sell as tops, which is so fun. And this is my first little skein that I spun from it, and I managed to achieve a DK weight yarn with this, but only just. And when I made this, I kind of suddenly realised that I was getting a bit ahead of myself, and I was getting a bit excited, and I wasn't being very careful. And when it came to plying this little turtle, I got in such a mess with it. And I was like, okay, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Why am I getting in such a mess? So I stopped, I took a step back. Oh, that's the one thing that I forgot to look up when I was making my notes. I watched quite a few videos from one specific YouTuber who has loads of spinning content and a lot of stuff that's good for beginners. So I'll put them in the show notes and up here. But I watched loads of her videos on everything, like drop spindling, how to wind on a Turkish drop spindle, drafting on spinning wheels, and loads of different stuff, and just kind of absorbed all the information and then went back to my spindle. I've also been enjoying the reels from the Ply magazine Instagram account. Loads of really informative, simple reels that make it so easily understood for a beginner. I feel like I genuinely understand the difference between worsted and woolen spun now, and I think with this I was kind of doing a hybrid. It was mainly worsted, but with a little bit woolen when things were going a bit wrong. And it was, even though it's like I'm getting finer with my spin, it was still quite inconsistent, and I was like, I just need to like chill out, Laura, calm the F down. I also bought another spindle because something that the lady from Tyne and Flloyd did say to me when I bought this was this is quite a heavy one and I won't be able to spin anything super fine on this, which was great because I didn't want to spin anything super fine to start with. But I did know that I wanted to try and get a little bit finer. So I went onto Etsy and I bought another spindle from an Etsy shop called KerrySpindles. And here we have my latest spin. And she is looking sexy. This is one sexy turtle. Oh yeah. And when I show you a close-up of this, hopefully you'll be able to see that my spin is much finer, much more consistent and much neater. And I truly believe that what I have here is a woolen spun. No, why do I keep saying that? It's a worsted spun single. I've been spinning it with no twist between the hands, and I've been like smoothing and drafting evenly, and like I think it's a forward short draft that I'm doing. It's very little. It's like it's not like a like you see them. I've watched videos of doing these drafts that are like coming all the way back here, and I'm like, how is it not breaking? What is this magic? I don't get it. But I will be trying a woolen spun very soon, hopefully. I'd love to try it from the fold as well. But for now, we have a nice consistent worsted spun yarn single here, which I'm very excited about. I find I can get about 25 grams on a spindle, and then I have been plying those 25 gram balls back on themselves to create a 2-ply yarn that I can use. But then I just end up with lots of small skeins. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to take this one and I'm going to take it off, spin another 25 and then ply those together, so ultimately I get a 50 gram skein, which is really exciting. And I think I'm coming to the end of this one now because it's getting heavy to the point where it's snapping quite a lot. I'm drafting evenly and consistently. I'm not drafting too thin, but it does keep breaking. So I think it's time for this one to come off and start the next one. And I'm loving it, if I'm honest. It sets off a different part of my brain to knitting. And you'd think it would be the same, but it's not quite the same. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of like end point. Obviously there's the end of the fibre, but I know I could always buy more fibre. It just feels like there's no rush. When you kind of monetize your hobby and bring in things like deadlines and other people and test knits and posting, your craft kind of starts to, well, it becomes your job really, and that's amazing in so many ways, but it does suck the joy out of it a little bit. So it's been so wonderful for me to work on something that is like pure joy. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It doesn't really matter how it turns out. I'm not thinking about fit. I'm not thinking about like, you know, oh, I'm on Sleeve Island or I'm on Body Island, blah, 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 blah. I'm just doing it. And I'm not worried about the perfection of the finished item. And that in itself is incredibly freeing. Obviously, I want to do the best spin that I can. And however much yarn I get from this, I will use for something. I have no idea what. I would like to use it just on its own. So it could be a pair of mittens, could be a shawl, it could be a cowl. I don't really know. It depends how much I get. It could also be beautiful in like a colour work yoke with like a light grey. But it's not about that final thing. It's just about the process, and the process is so calming and relaxing. Honestly, I can spend hours just stood there drafting and winding and drafting and winding and my audiobook in, and I'm just off in another world, and it's fantastic. The only problem is because I've got some lower back problems, I can't stand up for that long. So sometimes I sit on a bar stool. We got a kitchen bar stool, so I can get quite a good length out of that. But I do try to stand up for quite a while, and I think that's quite good. It's probably good for my lower back strength as long as I don't push it. And that is also something I was doing. I was spinning for too long and getting tired, and the spin wasn't being consistent. So I've also learned, you know, not to push it. It's like when you stay up late just because you can't stop yourself knitting, just one more row, but then you end up making stupid mistakes, and it's detrimental in the long run because you have to rip out the stuff you did when you were knitting till 2 o'clock in the morning. It's that kind of lesson that I think most knitters learn, and we do still occasionally fall into those traps sometimes, but I definitely remember as a brand new knitter not being able to go to bed, becoming obsessed, not being able to stop, and it was like at the detriment to my work. So I've learned that lesson anew with spinning. Oh, sorry, I kicked you. So yeah, if you are one of those people that have always wanted to give it a try, I say do it. Also, for like a new hobby, it's so affordable. This is £6 per 100 grams for this stunning fibre, and that's like, for the amount of time and entertainment it gives you, it's a really good value for money. I think my spindles, this spindle I think was around £25. So again, if you would really like to give it a go, it's not a huge investment. It also doesn't take up loads and loads of space. It's not like if you want to try sewing or pottery or something. It's a really good kind of portable, fun thing to do. So even if you think it's going to take over your life, do it anyway, give it a go. I thought when I gave pottery a go last year that I was going to become obsessed with it and I wouldn't want to knit. And you know what, I enjoyed doing it, but it didn't take over my brain. It didn't, I just wasn't good at it quick enough. So yeah, give it a go. If you're putting it off, it's so fun. I have been looking for like a spinning class near me, and there is somewhere really close to me that does do spinning classes, but it's on like a traditional wheel, and I'm not sure how I feel about an actual spinning wheel. I feel like I'd like to try I think an e-spinner would be more practical for me in my life. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about other people in that situation. Would the other people in my family want to have a great big whacking spinning wheel in the middle of the living room? Maybe one day if I commandeer the guest room and turn it into my craft room, which has kind of already started to happen. We'll see. But yeah, there we go. That's the end of all the projects. I have got a few, I thought I'd give you a couple of recommendations to close off this episode. I have definitely not been consuming as much knitting content as usual at the moment, especially during Vlogmas in July, because I was creating so much knitting content. It was very, like, when I had the time, I kind of wasn't really in the mood to watch the things that I'd been making because it kind of takes over your brain a little bit. But I have recently discovered a new YouTube channel. It's not a new YouTube channel, it's a massive YouTube channel, but it's new to me, and it's not a knitting YouTube channel, but I feel like it's something you might enjoy. I have been watching a lot of content from Cecilia Bromdahl. I know that's probably not the correct way to say it. I think she is Swedish, but she currently lives in Svalbard, which is a island. I think it's a Norwegian island. It's like the most northerly point before Antarctica or something, and it's just about her life on this extremely remote, extreme weather island, and it is fascinating to watch. They built a cabin, her and her boyfriend. He's a chef on the island, and I think she's got a job and then her content creation as well, but it's just about their life there, and obviously stunning visuals of this incredible island. And I've been watching videos when they're in their polar night, so there's no daylight for like 3 months, and it's just amazing. I think I'm enjoying it because it gives me like Christmas vibes, and I have watched a few of their like festive episodes. But yeah, I've just been really enjoying it. It's been some really nice kind of listening to YouTube, so like to sit and watch, but also to have on whilst doing other things. I've been really enjoying it. So that's a little video recommendation for you. I thought I'd also let you know what I have been reading. This is not going to become a booktube, trust me. And I don't actually physically read. I've learned that I find too many words on one page too overwhelming. So the actual act of reading myself, I don't enjoy. It also sends me to sleep. When I was like a teenager, I could read, but I think that was probably because at the time I didn't have other options. There was no audio books, like YouTube wasn't a thing. Like when it came to media, books was one of the few options we had. But for now, I definitely find audiobooks are much better, because like I've been listening to all the really big like fantasy things, and I just don't have the time to sit and read them. like physically. So I listen to them, and I listen to them pretty much all day, every day. And the thing I'm listening to at the moment is the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I'm on the 3rd book. I'm on Gilded Crown of the Crown of Gilded Bones, and I have been really, really enjoying it. I've done every single SJ Maas book. I've done them all, loved them all. Crescent City, not so much, but I am looking forward to the next one. But obviously ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, incredible, amazing books. And so I'm a little bit like, I don't feel like I'm never going to find anything as good as that. But this came recommended to me on Audible, and I just thought I would give it a go. My main thing is that there are like 6 books, and there are like hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, if an audiobook is less than 20 hours, I'm not going to spend my money on it. Because I listen to them so much. But I kind of went into this one like a little bit blind. Like, I read the synopsis and thought it sounded pretty good, and I was like really surprised about it. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's not so much about like humans and fae like the SJ Maas stuff. It's about other kind of mythical beings, and I didn't know which ones before I started, and it was like a really nice surprise. It was like a slow progression into like the kind of fantasy world that we're in, and I really, really liked it. It's got a nice level of smut. It's not gratuitous. I think it's done really well. I enjoy listening to it. But it's also like the characters themselves are very, very interesting, and I got hooked very, very quickly. It's different dynamic. Like, I think what I like about it is that quite often in these kind of books, the main characters, the men and the women, are usually these very perfect people physically. And what I like about this one is that the main female character is not perfect. She's actually quite heavily disfigured, and it's about the beauty within that itself and within her and who she is as a person, and how she is completely objectified for her whole entire life. And then when she meets her person, he sees her through everything else, through the physical differences and the person she's supposed to be. And it's just really nice. It's really good to listen to. It's a slightly different angle on the typical kind of fantasy romance thing, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And she's like badass. She's like kick-ass, and yeah, in like a physical way she can defend herself, but also in her kind of the journey she goes through to become true to herself is something that like hits home for me. I know I'm not going out, you know, like saving the world and fighting mythical creatures, but it's a battle that I think we all go through. So I think that's probably why I'm enjoying it the most at the moment. So those are my little recommendations for you. With that, I think it's time to round it up. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've really had fun with this one. I'm really glad I did my dry run yesterday, because I'm much more confident with this filming. And I suppose I'm gonna have to say it one more time. Please feel free to join me over on my new Patreon if you would like to. I greatly appreciate it. But if it's not for you, then stick around here. I would love it if you subscribed, or if you left me a little message. That would be amazing. And thank you for joining me. I will see you again pretty soon, because as I mentioned, I do have a little exciting announcement coming very soon, separate to the Patreon thing. Nervous about it. So you will see me again soon, either with another podcast or maybe a little, I don't know, there'll be an announcement video of some kind. If you do decide to join me on Patreon, the first Patreon exclusive video will be up within the next 2 weeks. I'm basically going to start filming it like ASAP. So when you join, if you do join the higher tier, there's not a video on there yet, but there will be super soon. So please head on over, let me know your suggestions. I cannot wait to get started. Let's crack on with the day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.